the miracle of conception and birth. We're talking about the miracle of conception and birth this morning, and I had the opportunity to use two of my favorite people, Jonay Young and Destiny Young, the supernatural that transpired in their lives. Two young people that came together in agreement that they did not want to have children. Thus, the word of the Lord that God wanted a godly seed coming from a godly union. And after praying about it, Jonay and Destiny conceded to the word of the Lord and the will of the Lord. But of course, their body adhered to or paid attention to and agreed with what they had said for years. I won't have children. So the fertility specialist announced to Destiny that she had no eggs. And the male doctor or male clinic that Jonay attended said to him, we have never seen a young man that had no sperm. And God stepped in, and there was nothing less than the supernatural. The end of the story, which you will see, or you get a chance to follow them on their journey from barrenness to conception. And on the day that we're taping this, little Destiny Young has made her debut. But to see or hear the story gives God all the glory, the miraculous surrounding conception and childbirth.
More than we can ask or think, more than we can imagine in our wildest dreams. Thank you, Lord, by your blood I have been redeemed, and in your mercy you kept me. Who wouldn't let my enemies triumph over me?
God still works miracles. We're talking about creative miracles today. Miracle working God, the miracle of conception and the miracle of birth. That this is a modern day Rachel, modern day Jacob, a modern day Mary, a modern day Joseph, except not that Mary was praying for a child, but Rachel was praying for a child. So you're dealing with barren women in the Bible, and you're dealing with men, heroes from the Bible that wanted to produce children from the woman that they loved, Rachel and Jacob. And I have Jonay Young, and I have Destiny Young. And these are two individuals that are professional college graduates, have their heads together and their monies together, but yet there was this missing element, a child. So can you tell us your story? Who's going first? Let's talk about the dating and how you met each other, and the engagement and marriage, and then conception. And let's just keep it going. Tell us your story. Let us watch the journey unfold.
I just love to hear Destiny tell the story.
Okay. My goodness, she's a spokesman for me. Will you chime in at certain points if she left out something?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But now I heard a little rumor that a friend introduced the two of you, and I don't know if this is a vicious rumor or the truth. And the way the two of you met was because the friend found out that Destiny didn't want children and you didn't want children, and you met on that note. Is that incorrect?
Right. We met, like, physically saw each other for the first time. We were on a cruise that my friend put together, my friend Davern. She put this cruise together, and Jonay was engaged to someone else.
Ooh.
And
her loss, your game.
We were on a cruise.
Well, you know what? On that note, since you shared that engaged to someone else, just because you proposed to someone else doesn't mean they were God's choice. Destiny was Jonay's destiny.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so we met on the cruise, not anything, inappropriate, but we were just sat at the same table. We would talk, and both of us were early risers. We would get up and eat breakfast early. Nobody else was there. We both wanted to go to law school, just different things that were in common. And so I didn't think of anything about it. After the cruise, we went home. And then Devin called me one day and said that Jonay, her cousin, was having so much trouble with his engagement, that his heart was broken. And I was fervently praying for him, like, God, please heal his heart. Please, whatever.
And the Lord gives you who was praying for you.
And so I think a couple hours later, she was like, I think that you should talk to him. I want to give him your number and you should talk to him. And I was thinking that this was just something like, okay, Devin, whatever, she's a little bit over the top in everything she does. And I mean, literally 2 hours later, he called me and we spoke on the phone for hours that day. I was supposed to be studying for midterms. I missed a whole study group and we talked, and I don't really remember not talking ever since then. I went overseas to study overseas for like 6 weeks. He called me every day in Italy. And
so you had a powerful friendship bond.
Right.
You had a lot of common denominators. So you were mentally stimulating for each other.
Absolutely.
You were in love with her, enamored by her intellect, and you felt the same way.
And he was my father is such a strong provider. He was always very supportive of everything that I did. And even before we were married, he would.
So Jonay followed the pattern of your father.
Right, absolutely. He had his own home. He was set up basically.
Okay.
And so he was supportive of me going to law school and possibly not working when we first got married. He was.
I'm sorry, ladies, he's taken.
So it was just a great experience, and we were in marital counseling. And
okay, now how did it move from just friends to marrying each other?
Well, I was very leery of falling in love. Although we were talking, I didn't really, I knew that I could possibly love him. He had told me that he loved me, but I would not let myself feel emotions until I heard a prophetic word that said we were the one for each other.
Why?
I just thought it was safer that way. I didn't want God to say something different than my heart be broken. And people around me were acting that way. Like Devin was acting that way. You were acting like, okay, y'all are meant to be, but nobody said this is the will. And I wanted to hear those words. Like, you're supposed to be with him. He's supposed to be with you. And I remember sitting in your living room one day after church, and you said, you're looking for those words. You're looking for the words. Wow. This is the will of God. Wow. Let me let you know that he is your soulmate. She is your soulmate. You won't find anything better.
Wow.
And after that, that's when we started like, okay, both of us, like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. He knew he liked me, but he was like, I'm not going to move. And I felt the same way. Like, we'll just, we'll like, hello, you're a nice guy, and be with whoever God wanted us to be with.
I admire that, because something so important as a person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, you definitely want God to chime in on that. If you're asking him about a car, about a house, this is a lifetime decision. Right. If you're doing it according to the Bible. And the sickness and in health until death do us part.
Right.
Best way to describe it, I feel a nausea and I feel a lightheadedness where the person feels dizzy. Even when you stand up, you feel as if you're going to crumble. I just want to pray for you. When you stand up, you feel as if your legs will just buckle under you. It also comes along with shortness of breath. There are certain times for no natural reason that you can surmise you're battling with shortness of breath. Can I pray for you?
Shortness of breath?
Yes. Okay. The reason the enemy is trying to make you shortness of breath, he's trying to take the natural is deterring what's happening in the spiritual realm. The shortness of breath is trying to cause a number of things to happen in your life, to take your breath away because you're about to change seasons. I see you switching from the winter season of your life to the spring of your life. And you're coming into spring where you're more vibrant, and the enemy's causing, it's almost like a double effect. A number of things that just take my breath away, that I feel like, not another thing. This is just too much. But I heard the Lord say, the pages are turning, and as the pages are turning, this new season that you're coming into, the enemy's trying to get you to grab a hold to fear, but march through faith. The body is going to hold up, and the finances are going to hold up. But the enemy is trying to annoy you, badger you, aggravate you with the fear of, will I be okay if I retire? Is my body going to retire as well? I'm to be active. It's just a different season, but you're going to be actively traveling. You're going to be actively speaking. You're going to be actively enjoying pleasure. Has your spirit
retired also? Okay. You're going to be actively traveling and enjoying this season of your life. And there's this little adjustment the Lord is making in you. There's still this adjustment that needs to be made that's eating at the back of your mind. A season of your life that came through your first marriage, that from time to time, you're in a good marriage, you're in a good place, but from time to time, that gnaws at you. The enemy tries to get you to reflect back on a door that God has already closed. God, I thank you for the adjustment. And as I touched her for you, the changes that's happening in her body will depict the changes that are going to happen spiritually for her and emotionally. That you're strengthening her and you're going to reestablish that breathing pattern so there will be more oxygen going to the brain, more oxygen going through the body, the heart rate being stabilized now in the name of Jesus. Come against the fear of a heart attack. In the name of Jesus, it shall not be. God, I thank you that healing is children's bread. I thank you for making my whole. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
And so we got married, but in marital counseling, it came up, what are some things that you want? How many kids do you want? And I remember both of us getting silent, and I was thinking, my mom had 6 kids, and I was just not really up for it, and we just both looked at each other, and I was like, none? And he was
So you didn't know it until you were in marital counseling.
Yeah.
Wow, so that's why it's so important to have premarital counseling.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, and at the time that you shared that, did you think it was a deal breaker?
I could have been, it could have been. I was willing to change. I don't know how, but when he said none, it was like,
I really love you. I was in love with you. Now I really love you.
I know.
Now, how did you feel when she said that?
I felt a sense of relief. I believe it was fear that kept me from wanting kids.
Okay.
So to know that someone else felt the same, not necessarily the fear, but felt the same way that they didn't want, it was a sense of relief. Like, whew, that's one thing I don't have to worry about.
Okay, what was your fear?
Fear of making mistakes. Fear of harming a child. Not being the perfect parent.
Okay, so you weren't talking about physical harm, just maybe getting something wrong and not saying the right words or providing the right, you just wanted to be perfect and you weren't sure that you could, not trying to put words in your mouth.
Just was afraid that I wouldn't be able to provide enough, wouldn't be able to be enough, be exactly what that child needed.
Wow, okay.
Interesting. And so once we found that out, it was like, yep, we're going on through life. We can just travel together. We can, have whatever we need. We have so many other children that we did things for, and it was great because we can give them back to their moms afterwards. And, we would take them on fun trips, do fun things, whatever they want for Christmas. It was just great. And then fast forward some years later.
How long had you been married?
I want to say around 2012.
So how many years is that?
It was almost 10 years. 8 years, almost 10 years.
Of just having a good time, no children, just the two of you.
Right.
Loving other people's children, but not wanting children of your own. And God has a sense of humor.
Right, right. Now, even before that, you had given us prophecies, I want to say, that, you guys are going to have children. You had told me, we were going to have an Esther and a David and different stuff. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But I was cool because I knew that no matter what you said, we were still on one accord. We didn't want to have kids. So we still on birth control. Right?
Prophesy on.
Right.
Have a good time.
Right. And that's why I said, if it's a miracle, he worked through this birth control, then we know that it's, we were still on one accord, in my opinion. But then this prophet came. And Janae wasn't there, but I was there, and Devin were there, and you were there, and she said, your husband wants to have kids. And I have never withstood a prophet before.
Mm-hmm.
And
but you felt like she had really missed it.
I really did. I was like, I'm so sorry. You got it wrong. We've talked about this over and over again. He's told me that he doesn't want to have children. And, I just felt real bad for her. And then
I feel bad, but you missed it.
Right. And then I asked you at the same table in front of her, like, Bernie, is she right? She was like, and you started sipping drink real strong. She told Devin the same thing about her husband. And I was just perplexed, like, okay, Vern isn't saying anything, but, so I went home. I don't think I even made it home. I called him that day, like, this prophet has come to me and said that you want to have children, that you're dreaming about this. You already have plans in the house that we were living in of how we can make room for the baby and all this kind of stuff. And he was like, she's right. And I was just stunned.
So God had changed his mind.
Right.
Had worked in his heart and changed his heart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I was still on the same page. I mean, I was confused. I wasn't angry. I was just confused. Like, we talked about this. We have this written down in our marriage counseling book. And how are you going to be going to the point, not that you just want kids, you make plans, like you see.
Well, now, I will say, it was a gradual thing. God slowly it changed my heart. And those things that I was so afraid of, he kind of soothed me and said, it won't be that way.
Wow.
Just those words of encouragement, and Pastor Vern would often tell me, it may have happened to you, but it won't happen again.
Wow.
God will change that.
Wow.
Don't worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those things I kind of took my foot off the brake, and I realized, well, if God said it, he'll make a way.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I didn't even know about these conversations between these two. I was just happy-go-lucky,
I was just doing my job as a prophet. I was not trying to take sides or sabotage. I was just, by divine inspiration, telling the earth people what heaven was saying.
Right.
I was sharing with you at the proper time, sharing with you, and it's never my job to share what someone else has shared with me, unless the Lord says it.
Mm-hmm. But after that time,
Like when I'm picturing my shoulder blades like they're nodding out, that's the best way to describe it. Real tight instead of soft like it should be. Who's that?
That's me.
That's you, that's you. That changes in that. You made some changes in your walk. You made some changes in your mind. You made some changes in your life. What's your daughter? Do you see? Okay. But I see the hand of the Lord reaching for her like that and calling her back into her place. Calling her back into her anointing to get her to walk. There's some bitterness there. There's some resentment there. There's some anger there. That you realize, God, I can't get the root of this out. Only you're going to have to be able to get it out. But there's a mantle on her life. There's a prophetic mantle on her life. She's actually a prophet. And that's why the enemy buffets her so and comes against her. So with every step that you take, the enemy's working so that the next generation won't mess you up, so that you'll look back and beat yourself down over some of the things that she's going through. You wore a burden of responsibility for what wasn't your responsibility. The enemy will try to toy with you and mess with your mind to make you feel guilt-ridden. But there's a closer. There's an emotional healing anointing that the Lord wants to open up. I smell delicious and I don't buy it. I just thought I'd go ahead and say that. You have this wonderful perfume on. Yeah. We good now? Okay. Take a deep breath. The Lord is going at the pain that from time to time shows up in the midnight season, and it shows up like a stalker, night terrors. There are times that your past is over, but there are times when your past will show up in your dream state, and you'll wake up almost having full-blown panic attacks of where am I? How did this happen? But the Lord has erased that. I see the blood covering it. I literally see your life and it's covered by the blood. Because it's covered by the blood, He's going to use emotional healing as one of your strongest gifts. He's going to use you to discern what people are emotionally and to cause them to walk out of that emotional pain that they're going through. Those that are keeping secrets, they're going to share their secrets with you. And they'll come to you and have no intention of sharing it and catch themselves saying, I can't believe I told you that. And it's an emotional healing knowledge that will make them open up. It's the stress that was come from. I felt the stress when you walked in the room. I felt the stress when you came over to help me. And I kept feeling the stress coming from that table because the enemy wants to get you stressed out over something that really doesn't matter. And so that you will get your vision clouded. But the Lord is opening your eyes of understanding and taking you into new territory. You'll see new food. and tell your daughter that God has not forgotten about her. He saw the agony, he saw the pain, he sees the tears in the night season, but he's going to bring drastic changes to the point that you almost won't be able to recognize him. He's going to send people on assignment, secret agents that's going to reach her. Because you reached as hard as you could and you haven't been able to. But God has people on assignment that he's going to send to her because she's going to be on the forefront of this next week of what God's having her to do. And I see the two of you in the next, like between 8 and 10, the next 8 or 10 years, probably in ministry together.
But after that time, because I believe the word of the Lord, like no matter what, that weekend we got off birth control. Like it was like, okay, you want to have kids and God said we're supposed to have them, then let's, we won't, I'm not going to do anything to promote it. Like we're not going to get on the rhythm method or we're not going to the doctor, but we just won't stop it, And so from that point on, we were just, living life normally. And finally, I guess around 2015, so we had been 3 years without any birth control. I was starting to think like, now, my mother has never had problems conceiving. My sisters, my brothers, it has to be something going wrong if I'm not pregnant. Even though I'm not doing anything to promote it, I'm not doing anything to stop it. I know I'm not missing it every month. Right. And so I asked Jonay, and he was like, yeah, you're probably right, but I don't want to go to the doctor. It was a male thing. Mm-hmm. And his doctor had actually encouraged him to take some tests. Wow. But he said that he was afraid of the results. And so he'd rather me go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. And so... that is a man thing. Right.
This part can be edited.
Yeah. And so I was just like, okay, so finally I asked you about you called me one night or something, and you told me, you were like, you didn't say go to the doctor, but you were like, if you have concerns, just go to the OBGYN. And I went.
I called you?
Yeah, we were just talking like a normal conversation. It wasn't anything prophetic, know. Okay. And so I was like, okay. So I went to the doctor, and they told me that I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, which was basically my cycle wasn't producing eggs every month. I would have a cycle, but an egg is not being produced. Mm-hmm. And they asked me questions like, when you were a child, did you have very short periods or your period didn't come on at all? And I was like, yes. And I always thought that was a blessing because no period this month is great, or 1 or 2 days, good. But they were saying, no, that's not normal, that, your body's not doing something. And so, of course, I felt sad, I felt incomplete. I felt I guess not fulfilled as a woman, that, my body is supposed to be doing something and it's not really doing it. Okay. And then I felt like angry a little bit, like, God, how are you going to tell me to have kids and then you're not giving me the plumbing to work with here to make it happen? So it was just a lot of, and then after that, you told me to do whatever it takes. You told us, do whatever it takes to bring this little baby in the world, because we were thinking our insurance did not cover the treatments that I needed. Okay. And it was
now it was going to cost you financially to even conceive.
Right.
Long you were concerned about the finances after the child is born.
Exactly.
And it's just like God, now he starts the financial seek and understanding that I'm the provider before conception.
Right. Right. And so I was thinking like, oh gosh, this is not every month hundreds of dollars, and it's not guaranteed, that you'll be pregnant. Mm-hmm. It's just a stab in the dark. We just hope it works. And so I started, taking the drugs, and it was a battle because then I was taking so much estrogen and I was gaining so much weight I really wasn't used to. I always had very bad like self-image, self-hate problems, but all that magnified the fact that I wasn't conceiving, I was getting bigger, my hormones were raging, I was hot
flashes,
like in the wintertime, going outside with it was just a lot. And then you would think it's romantic that we get to have sexual intercourse during all these times, but that became a task that we had to do at all these specific dates.
So it took the romance out of it.
Right.
It became very mechanical. And let's get this job done.
Right. And his job was very stressful, so it's like no matter how stressed you were, you need to come in here, we got to do this today. It was just...
I've got a de-stressor for you.
So it just became an arduous task. And finally, after some months of just, it was only months of, and my doctor would say, you know, you have like 14 eggs this month. Like, you should really get pregnant this month. And it wouldn't happen. Then he said, we need to test your husband. So I was thinking, that's not going to happen. We just, you know, Lord, we tried, Father. We tried.
You forgot that Daddy God owned him and changed his mind even about having children.
Right.
Okay.
I told him what the doctor said. He said, the doctor really wants you to get tested. He sent him to a specialist. And this was one of the doctors that was supposed to be one of the best people of fertility in Bay County.
Wow.
So they sent Janae to a specialist. And what happened with you?
Well, they ran some tests, and he came in and he told me that, you know, Mr. Young, this is strange. It's not that your sperm count is low. It's non-existent. You do not have a sperm count.
Wow.
The best thing that we can offer is to send you to Alabama and to Birmingham, and they can conduct a surgery where it's fairly.
And he said that wasn't normal, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's unusual for a person to have no sperm count.
Yeah.
Low is fairly usual, but no is extremely unusual. He said that there's an intrusive surgery that they complete where they operate and remove, and they cut into your testicles and search and see if there's any sperm caught in there.
Wow.
And the reason why they couldn't do it locally is because they would save it and artificially inseminate my wife, which obviously would prevent us from having another child in the future.
Wow.
So obviously that was disheartening. That made me extremely nervous.
So once again, God has a sense of humor. He tells you, changes your mind about having children when you didn't intend to have children. Tells you he wants you to have children. And then he runs ahead like he did with Moses. Tells Moses to tell Pharaoh to let the people go. Then he runs ahead and tell Pharaoh, tell Moses no. So he tells Destiny and Jermaine have children. Then he runs ahead and makes sure that Destiny can't conceive. Then when she's trying fertility drugs and so forth, he runs to the other side and makes sure that there is no sperm. But the same God said, I want you to have children. So what is God up to?
Other than
Being a miracle worker?
Yes.
Stretching your faith?
Yes.
Okay.